is Miss K and welcome to Miss K Gone Postal. And I want to talk to all of my survivors of their probationary period, their 90-day probation. Yay, you survived! You've made it to the other side. Well, what the fuck does that mean? What does it mean that you passed your 90 days? Really nothing. But there is a little slight difference in regards to how you can be disciplined if you're walked out, if you have IIs. It's a little bit of difference, not that much of a difference. So, if you've survived your 90-day probation, congratulations. And you've already done your 90-day evaluation period. Let's say you're on your 105th day working, and you're golden and you're good, but you're concerned, am I going to get walked out? Can I get disciplined? What happens? Am I still able to get representation? Can I still decide if I want to join the union? Now, let's start with the union part. Let's say you've 90 days passed in your 105 days. You haven't joined the union yet. And you say, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So you go ahead and you join the union. That's fine. Remember, I told you, you do not have to be in a union to have representation. But it's best that you are in the union because the union guarantees that you have a job. And we're there as your public defender to fight for your ass, regardless if you're right or wrong. So even after you've passed your 90 days, yes, you can join the union. Just ask your union rep, say, hey, I decided I want to join the union. Can I get the paperwork? And I want to go ahead and get the ball rolling. Okay, so that's done. Boop, you just done that. Now, you're wondering to yourself, okay, I survived. Can I still get walked out frivolously for no reason? Now, let me say this. No, you cannot, because remember, when you're under your 90 days, they don't have to have a reason to walk you out the door. They don't have to have a verbal discussion with you about whatever problem they think they're having with you before they let you walk out the door. They don't have to do that under your 90-day period. Now, mind you, once you've crossed over the 90-day period, you have a little bit more rights in regards to that. So let's say you're 110 days in and something occurs. And a supervisor comes to you and says, hey, you know, you didn't scan all this stuff the other night and we're missing 20 scans. So they're going to give you an II, which is an investigative interview, because you missed 20 scans. Don't get all upset. You're not going to lose your job. It's just an investigative interview. And let's say you never had one. So you're paranoid as fuck and you don't know what's going to happen. It's a simple little conversation between you, the supervisor, and your shop steward, who needs to be there, present to represent you, and they're going to ask you some menial bullshit ass questions. Now, in regards to that, if you're going to have an II and you're over your 90 days, make sure that you have a shop steward present. They have to give you one. Do not, and I repeat this again for the motherfuckers in the back, do not go to an II or anything with management and there is no shop steward present. I don't care what union you're in, goddammit. Okay? Make sure that you have one there. If there is no one that's available at that time, it needs to be rescheduled or they need to find you one ASAP. You do not go into any situation that requires management that you believe that you might have a problem with and you don't have representation. Because I've seen this shit too many times. Y'all go in there thinking you will have a conversation and it turns into a fucking II and you have nobody present. They done did the II and they're going to submit it off for discipline. And then you come to me a week later and go, hey, I had an II last week and they gave me this discipline for 7-day suspension. I don't know what it's for. Did you have someone present? Well, no, because they couldn't find. No, don't do that. The moment someone says to you, oh, well, you need to have an II, then you need to, the next thing out your mouth needs to be, who's my shop steward? Who's my representation? That's all you need to say. And they need to provide that for you. If you walk into that fucking room and there's no shop steward for you sitting there, say, excuse me, where's my shop steward? They're coming? Well, I'm not walking through the door until they come walk through the door with me. Now me, I do not let any of my people walk into a room without me present. We're coming in together. You're not going to get there before me. We're walking in the door. Like, we're here. Okay? So make sure that you have your representation if that happens. Okay? Now, number 2, if you don't have an II, but let's say they give you a verbal warning or a verbal discussion, meaning something that you didn't do and they have a problem with it, they pull you off to the side and say, hey, next time you need to scan everything, you need to make sure all this is done, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. That's what they consider a verbal warning. Now, if you feel that it's taken a step up and it's a verbal discussion, or what they call an oral discussion, right? And they're having a conversation with you, this is management speaking to you. If you feel that you need to have someone there as your representation, but also as another ear to hear what's going on, you can go ahead and say, President Paul's working on that. Go get my shop steward. And they're gonna look at you crazy. But we just have to, nope, go get my shop steward. Because I want them to be present to hear what you're finna say to me. Because I don't want this shit to come back and get misconstrued and it's just me and you. Because you could come back and tell and say, I never said that to you, remember? No, motherfucker. The shop steward will be here. So they can also hear the same thing. So if you don't feel comfortable and you're getting a verbal tongue lashing, or they're saying something to you and you don't like it, or you feel it may turn left, say, Kevin, before we begin, or before you say what you gotta say to me, I need my shop steward present. And they can go quickly grab somebody off the floor real quick to have a conversation with you. A lot of times, the oral discussions, the verbal discussions, they're usually on the floor, right there. Should they be done on the floor? But they usually are. Or sometimes at a supervisor's desk. If it happens that way, ask for a shop steward. Ask for that shop steward to be present so they can hear the same things that you hear. Okay, so let's just say you had an II. The shop steward was there. What happens after that is that once the II is submitted, they submit it for discipline. Sometimes, depending on what it is, you may not even get any discipline. So you may not hear nothing. And you may say to your shop steward, well, what's going on? And your shop steward may say, oh, they didn't send me no discipline. And they have a time period to submit that. If it doesn't, if it's not submitted within that time period, then it's null and void. So let's say they don't submit anything. They say, we're not giving you anything. We'll just write it off as an oral discussion and we're done with it. So you're in the clear, you're good. But let's say they come back and they give you a 7-day suspension for you not scanning properly. And you're still concerned because I'm like, oh my Lord, I just passed my 90 days and I'm still kind of upset. I don't know if they're gonna walk me out. They're not. Just calm down. If they give you a letter saying that you got a 7-day suspension, mind you now, this is 7 working days. Baby, you're not gonna sit at home, okay? Everybody get fooled by that. They go, oh, they gonna let me sit at home for 7 days. Nah, baby, it's the post office, it's the feds. You're gonna come in here and you're gonna work these 7 days. Give it to your shop steward. What your shop steward will do is your shop steward will fight that for you. They will fight that 7-day suspension. Get it brought down to oral discussion, or if it's not, then they'll take it a step 2 and try to fight it all the way, okay? That is the right that you have because you've passed your 90 days. And that is the difference between you being under your 90 days and being over. There's a little bit more that you can do while you're still working in the building. You're not sent out of the building and waiting for someone to call you to say you can come back in. You're still physically going to be working in that building while someone in the union is working on your case, okay? So when you're over your 90 days, you still can work, you still can be in the building, but the way you're disciplined and the way they handle it is different. Now, you're probably saying, okay, Ms. K, I'm way past my motherfucking 90 days. I never received any kind of discipline, any kind of verbal warning, and one day, out of the blue, they hand you a paper and someone says you got a 14-day suspension for some shit that you did. You never received a verbal. You never got an II that you recall. And now they're giving you a 14-day suspension for whatever. It could be for attendance. It could be for whatever it is. And you're like, I never was told anything. At that moment, right, go find your shop steward. I know you're probably going to be like, well, I passed my 90 days, they can't walk me out. No, they can't walk you out. And no, they can't just go ahead and fire you. But you need to fight that. Because if you don't fight it, you're going to have that 14-day suspension on your record. And it stays there. Meaning that if something else happens again and they write you up or try to discipline you, that carries with you. You don't want that. You don't want that on your record. You don't want that on you. So you go find your shop steward. Say, hey, I got a 14-day suspension. I don't know what the hell this is. No one never had a verbal with me. Or maybe you had a verbal and you didn't even know it was a goddamn verbal because you didn't have anybody there with you. And you never got an II and they went straight to discipline. Nah, bro. Nah, we're not gonna play no games. So let your shop steward know. Say, hey, I never got anything. No one never said unto me. At that point, your shop steward will fight that for you. You will still be in the building. You will still be able to work every single day, and no one's going to come to you and tell you, hey, you got to get the fuck out. Because that's the difference once you pass your 90 days. Under your 90 days, you can get out of the building for whatever reason. Over, it's a little bit harder for them to get you out. And I know you've probably seen a lot of the veterans, the old timers, they may do some shit, they still walking around. I mean, I'm talking about walking around for months, waiting for discipline or waiting for something to be fought. Because that's the right that you're afforded once you pass your probationary period and once you become also a career employee, okay? Now, remember this, y'all. Don't think because you've passed your 90 days, you cannot be fired. It takes a little bit longer to get terminated, but you still can be. So if there's an altercation that occurred between you and another employee or you and management, that can happen. Now, the first thing that will happen, let's say you get into something with somebody. Some chick says you was a hoe and you was doing whatever in the parking lot. She caught you on the phone with her man, whatever, and y'all got into it, right? You shouldn't have been doing that shit anyway. But let's say y'all got into it. Y'all didn't, but you let your mouth get crazy and y'all got loud and people heard y'all. And remember, the post office is a zero tolerance zone. That goes for foul language, loud tones, all of that. So let's say they send both of you out. Now, when I mean send both of you out, that night or that day, whenever it occurs, management will send both y'all asses home. This is the way it's supposed to be. You're going home and the other person's going home. They're going to send your asses home with no pay. This does not mean you're fired. You're not fired. You passed your 90 days. You're way past that. But you're still the MHA. You're still 360. But you're not fired. Now, they will send both of y'all home. Now, while you're at home, they're going to either call you or send you a letter because they want you to come back in to do an II. A lot of times it's the very next day because they want to go ahead and clean this up. They want to find out what's going on. If it's a verbal confrontation, sometimes, a lot of times, management wants to have a conversation with you and get your statement, and then that other person, they'll have a conversation with them and get their statement and determine how they're going to discipline both of you. Usually, you both will get the same type of discipline because you both were involved in the same type of fuckery. But you will be out of the building. Sometimes it may last a day, maybe two. It may not be that bad, and you'll come back in. But remember, while you're out, you're not going to get paid. So if it's a day or you still have 5 hours left in your shift, they're not going to pay you for that. So your union rep is going to have to fight to get that money for you. But that happens after we get you back into the building. Okay? So that can occur. Now, if they're trying to terminate you, they have to go a little bit further, and that's for a more serious act. You know, I'm talking about a real serious act. But termination is in steps. It doesn't happen that day. You're not gonna be, you have no job, you gotta fucking go give me a badge. Now, they make you leave the building, they will ask for your badge. They will do that. They will tell you, hey, let me have your badge. And when you come in the next day for your II, they will, if they allow you to come back to work, they'll give you your badge back. And you come back to work. Simple as that. So just remember, the only difference in once you survived your probationary period is the fact that you can't be walked out the door that easily as you were before. That's the only fucking difference, honey. Under 90 days, you blink and cough, get your ass out of here. Over your 90 days, there are steps. I always tell you guys, there are levels to this shit, right? There are levels. They can't just send you out the door. There's certain protocols and certain things that have to be done in order for them to even try to get rid of you once you pass your 90 days. And also remember, if anything occurs, anything, and you don't feel comfortable, or you've received information, you've received discipline, a letter of warning, something that was put into your hand, immediately find your shop steward. Immediately. And let your shop steward know this is what I received so that they can fight it for you. Regardless of the fact that you've passed your 90 days, you do not want any of this information, any of this discipline to stay on your record. You want it to be clean. And what happens is when we fight it, we can get that stuff expunged off. And also too, management is slick. They will try to make anything prior citable for future discipline. Okay? Make sure you understand this. If you've done something or you've been written up for attendance or written up for I don't know what, you didn't scan properly, management will go back and make those offenses citable, meaning they can go ahead and use them again for new stuff. This is why you have to make sure that the union know, because we will make sure that the old stuff is not attached to the new stuff. We don't want anything that you've done in the past attached to the new stuff, because it makes it look so much worse than what it is. And that's not what you want. We only want to fight one battle at a time, baby. I don't want to fight 7 battles, just one battle. Okay? That's just one, please. So remember, y'all, the only difference, under 90 days, you get out quicker. Over 90 days, it's levels to this shit, it's steps. They just can't walk you out. They just can't terminate you at a whim. But always remember to talk to your shop steward, find your shop steward. Even if they let you go and you have an incident and they walk you out that night, that same night, that next day, call your shop steward. Because a lot of times management is not going to tell us what happened the day or the night before. You need to let us know so we can fight your battles for you, okay? So remember, my postal freaks, as always, love and light.